You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, this morning I did a video where we talked about Deshaun Watson's disastrous play on the field and the fact that Baker Mayfield was in Tampa Bay once again balling out this year, throwing, I believe it was 4 touchdowns in yesterday's game, and Deshaun Watson got absolutely crushed by what looks like a very good Dallas Cowboys defense. Well, inquiring minds want to know how this is going to play out involving Roger Goodell's former punishment on Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson came to an agreement with the league. Remember, he's supposed to be undergoing counseling, yada, yada, yada. Never mind the Browns and the $250 million fully guaranteed contract, which carries a dead cap hit of, I believe it's $73 million per year the next 2 seasons. Well, Deshaun Watson is in a lot of trouble again. And I could not believe this. And guess what, guys? I don't think this falls under the agreement he made with Goodell, because this does not involve massages. And you're seeing that right. Sexual assault and battery. Another lawsuit. This is not going to play well at all. As Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson struggles to regain his old form, he has a new legal issue. You know what? Before I keep going, let me remind you. The NFL made an adjustment to the personal conduct policy after they gave Deshaun Watson his previous punishment. And word has it, they came up with this new policy because the previous policy didn't allow them to crush Watson, all right? And they were left with not the appropriate way to be able to punish him in the way they thought they should be able to. So they made an adjustment. Just keep that in the back of your mind. On Monday, Watson was sued in Houston for sexual assault and battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The accusations are strikingly similar to those made against Watson in more than 20 lawsuits filed in 2021. However, the plaintiff in the new case, who filed under the Jane Doe pseudonym, contends that she went on a date with Watson. Most, if not all, other cases arose from paid massages that Watson arranged. The lawsuit explains that the date was set for October 10, 2020. Watson, per the lawsuit, was initially unable to find her apartment. He called her and allegedly began aggressively yelling and screaming and stating he could not find her apartment and that he doesn't have time for this. The lawsuit then contains the following allegations. When Watson finally arrived at Doe's apartment, Doe had not finished putting on makeup. So she invited Watson in to have a seat in her living room while she finished getting ready. As she was putting on makeup in her bathroom, Doe left the bathroom door open and attempted a conversation with Watson. Trying to ease the tension from his angry outburst, Jane Doe quickly began to believe she was talking to herself because Watson wasn't responding. Jane Doe came out of the bathroom to investigate Watson's silence and shockingly found him completely naked on her bed, lying face down on his stomach. What? While Jane Doe stood there in shock, Watson turned his head and aggressively insisted that she massage him. What is going on with this guy? Gesturing to his buttocks, Jane Doe asked if Watson meant he wanted her to massage his back, but Watson indicated that his buttocks is what he wanted massaged. Wow. Jane Doe was at this point in the encounter terrified. She was in a small apartment with a much larger man, and she was still reeling from Watson's outburst and aggression on the phone. Doe thus tried to appease Watson by rubbing his neck rather than his buttocks. Watson began insisting again that she should focus on his glutes. Seemingly frustrated that Doe would only rub his neck, Watson turned over, revealing an erection. Watson continued to demand that Jane Doe massage him, gesturing from his knees to his groin. Jane Doe froze in fear, unsure how to refuse Watson's advances without jeopardizing her safety. Confused and scared, she reiterated to Watson that she wasn't a masseuse. Watson asked her what she wanted to do instead. Before Jane Doe could answer, Watson grabbed Jane Doe's leg and positioned her so she was lying down. Watson then partially disrobed Jane Doe and penetrated her vagina without consent, implicit or explicit. Jane Doe felt paralyzed, unsure if she could risk her safety for trying to stop Watson or endure his assault. Watson roughly sexually assaulted Jane Doe for several minutes in the missionary position before grabbing her and flipping her over. Watson continued to assault Doe aggressively from behind. Jane Doe finally gathered the courage and strength to escape Watson. Jane Doe quickly ran to her dresser to grab her heavy piece of decor for self-defense and yelled at Watson to get out of her apartment. Enraged, Watson stormed out of Jane Doe's apartment. The statute of limitations for personal injury cases is 2 years. In Texas, a 5-year window applies to the case expressly alleges sexual assault. The plaintiff is represented by Tony Busby. He represented many of the others who sued Watson in 2021. This new case raises plenty of issues from the standpoint of the league and the Browns. It's possible that Watson could be subject to further scrutiny under the personal conduct policy. It's also possible that a suspension, if one is imposed, could give the Browns a path towards voiding his remaining salary guarantees and ending the relationship. The biggest difference between the latest case and the others is specifically he is accused of sexual assault. Wow. Now, I mean, I understand there's going to be people that are going to be like, well, 4 years later, this is just coming out. I don't know how any of that works, all right? But I know one thing. This is different than the previous cases, and which raises a lot of questions. And most importantly, if you're a Browns fan today, you've got to be feeling buyer's remorse for that contract. And I think most Browns fans, honestly, if you gave them truth serum, would be like, we want out of it. And more specifically, and one's got to wonder, all right, if Watson committed these crimes or did these things, they committed these actions, is part of his problem mental in the fact that, I mean, never mind the guy's sick, but mental from the fact that he's carrying all this around? Was he waiting for something to drop? And is that getting in the way of his performance? Nonetheless, he's in a hell of a lot of trouble now. A lot of trouble. And I do not believe this issue is going to fall under his previous punishment. In fact, I'm sure this was Florio that put this article out. Florio's a lawyer. It is Mike Florio. Florio would have specifically said this likely will fall under the previous punishment. Remember, there was a certain time period that if anything else arose from a massage standpoint, that it would have fell under this previous situation. Well, this is not a massage situation. This is I went on a date, and it turned ugly and it turned bad. Allegedly. Again, all this is allegedly, but there's certainly precedent. Now, a lot of people have asked me, well, why, Rhodes, do you take the stance on Watson and you didn't on Michael Irvin? Well, because when you get 26 women file lawsuits, and the New York Times did an investigation, I believe it was the New York Times, did an investigation and found the potential for upwards of 100 women 67 names they could actually tie a name to in Watson. There's too much smoke here, folks. Something for a very long time has been seriously wrong. Now, will Roger Goodell do what a lot of people wanted and banish the guy from the league? Is that what's going to happen? Finally? Because we got to think, if the Browns cut him, who's signing this guy? Well, we'll have to see. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.